Hello, this is Matthew Miller from the ZDNet Mobile Gadgeteer blog. My Kindle 2 just arrived today, and I wanted to kind of run through a little bit of a demonstration between the Kindle 1 and the Kindle 2, and also take a look at my Sony reader. I guess what I'll start off with, let me go ahead and set the video camera down here, is I'll start off with the packaging material. If you have a Kindle 1, you'll recognize this actually attractive box that the Kindle 1 came in. Kind of a large box, as you can see, but kind of an interesting packaging. And you opened it up, and the Kindle was inside there on one side, and the documents and things were on the other. It was a nice experience for taking out the Kindle. But Amazon this time went with actually a very sleek package. This here is actually the box that it's shipped in. And as you can see in the pictures, and even in this, it's very slim. It's only like, I don't know, inch and a half or less thick box, and actually comes sealed up with a rip tie that you come slide down. As you can see when you open it up, it's got it's all black inside, recycled symbol, and there's letters in gloss finish in the background. And inside that is another little, again, another small black paper wrapped container with another one of the zip pulls. You pull that off and that comes off, and then inside you've got this kind of egg cartonish cardboard, seems very recyclable type of material here. And you pop that open and your Kindle will be inside this main area here. And then if we were to pop that off as well, underneath, and this is actually a piece of kind of a white, off-white plastic. If you pop that off, there's a quick start guide, and then the charger cable. The charger, which I'll show you here. So the charger is this cable, really long cable, USB at one end, and it's micro USB at the other end, and I'll show you that on the Kindle in a minute. And then it comes with this universal plug. So you just simply place the USB into that, and then you can plug it in to the wall or plug it into your computer and charge up your Kindle. So let's take a look here at the two Kindles laying side by side. So this is the Kindle 1 over here and the Kindle 2, and trying to get a size perspective. You can kind of see there's definitely a much thinner form factor. It's actually, the Kindle 2 is actually, well, not as long as I thought. It's just slightly longer. The keyboard, getting a little closer, is rounded, well-defined keys, whereas these ones were kind of angled and different rectangular shape. It does have a good feel to it. When you press it in, pretty much the same as what was on the original Kindle. Nothing much there. Let me go ahead and take a look. Let me just pause it for a second and grab my Sony reader just to give you kind of a size comparison. This is my Sony Reader 505. This is actually a very nice piece of hardware. It's metal feel, very slim, and as if I put it on top of the new Kindle even, you can see here it is still quite a bit smaller and slimmer than even the new Kindle. There's a thickness comparison. I guess they're about the same now with this new Kindle. Okay, so let's put the Sony Reader aside, and let's just take a walk around this Kindle. I've got some other things I'd like to show you. So this is the Kindle 2 here, and showed the keyboard. Now over on this side, we previously had a scroll bar there with a kind of a mirror backing thing that would slide up and down on that right side. We now have a 5-way controller here, so it goes 4 directions and then presses in for the 5th. There's the back, there's the menu. Up here on the right side we've got next page and home, and over on the left side we've got next page and previous page. And as you can see, these are much smaller than almost the full full length previous index, which was a problem before. You would constantly kind of hit that accidentally. And then if we take a look at the top of the Kindle 2, we've got our 3.5mm headset jack and this new switch. The old Kindle, we had on the back a switch for on-off and a switch for the wireless radio. There was also the mono speaker and a removable back with a battery underneath it and an SD card. Now what we've got up top is we've got a switch that if you slide it once, it will actually put the Kindle into standby, and then a screensaver comes on. Slide it back again, it unlocks it, and then if you were to slide it and hold it, you could turn it off. So that's on the top. On the bottom, right there, we've got our micro SD card slot, and I don't know if that's a reset button or not right there, but there's a micro USB port. So my Nokia devices have micro USB to charge, and that same charger actually does work on them. There's really, on the right side, you'll find volume rocker, kind of like what you see on a phone. On the left side is really nothing. And swinging around to the back, we see there's plastic up top, kind of where the wireless radio is, Amazon Kindle labeling, a brushed metal finish with stereo speakers along the bottom for a pretty decent sound. So that's kind of a look at the hardware part of it. Now, something else I wanted to show was the 5-way movement. Now let me just pause here for a second. Now both screens on these devices are the 6-inch displays that have the same resolution. The new Kindle does have 16 levels of gray. The old one had 4 shades of gray. But one thing I wanted to show before I move on is if you can look at the home screen, see the title fonts are fairly bold and easy to read on the original Kindle. On the new Kindle, these same titles aren't quite as bold, and they're much lighter. I'm not sure if there's a setting in there that I can change for that or not. So let me just show you, see if we can capture this on this video, the 5-way navigational pad. So now, as I move up and down the page here, my selection is indicated by an underline. Okay, so let's go into a book. This is one of the Clive Cussler's, one of my favorites. So now what I can do is, as I move this 5-way controller, it jumps around to each line. I can go right or left, and when I stop, what will happen is down at the bottom, wherever word I stop on, it will actually show me a beginning of a dictionary entry. And if I want to see more, I simply hit the return button, and the full dictionary entry appears. Okay, so I'll go ahead and go back. Now if let me move down again, I find a word, it gives me the dictionary entry. So say I don't want to enter that dictionary entry, as you can see there, I can begin typing right away, and as I do, it'll enter a note. I'll go ahead and I can save that note, clear it, or cancel. I'll go ahead and cancel for now. Now the other thing that I can do with this 5-way controller is I can press in on the 5-way controller. That starts my highlight. Then I just move my 5-way controller around, press it in again, it ends my highlight. Now if I wanted to get rid of that highlight, I simply go back to the beginning where I started, and then it says below there, it gives me the definition again. It says beginning typing to create a note, or hit delete to delete my highlight. Okay, so very nice way to use this 5-way controller and really get a lot of notes, highlights, and meanings. Now in comparison, if we were to grab that same book, and I'll show you that in a bit how that works too. If we were to grab that same book, now say I wanted to find a meaning of a word up in that same line, I'll go to that ghoulish area there. So now my little scroll bar is there on the right. There's no way to select a specific word, so I press in, and now what it's going to do, it gives me one more option. So there's another level that I have to look at. So I want to either look up, add a highlight, or add a note, which I just ran through with a 5-way controller. So I press in on the scroll wheel to say look up. Now it doesn't know which word. So what it'll do is it'll select all the unusual words in that sentence, and then it presents me with all of those dictionary entries, not just for the word that I wanted selected. So then again you have to go through another level. So there's multiple levels in the old way with a scroll wheel. Now with a 5-way controller, it eliminates many of those different levels that you had to jump through. Now another thing that is included here is Whisper Sync. So I have 2 Kindles here. So let's say I was to, let me just jump through some of these pages here in this novel on this new Kindle here. Just jump through a few pages, pretend that I read those, and I will go ahead and say home. Okay. Now what should happen, and my wireless connection, I do have to admit, is not that great here at my house in this particular room. Now let me see if, I'm not sure if I have to say update and sync, but let's just see if I was to go into that same novel again, and where it will appear. If I go menu, sync to this page, it's a new option there. So I'm going to sync. It should hopefully sync to what I had on the other Kindle. And as I said, my wireless connection is pretty weak in this area. The furthest read location is 155 from Kindle Baka 2 at 9:50 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Go to that location. So as you can see, I can, well, now with 2 Kindles with me, I'll never ever run out of battery life because I can just jump from one Kindle to the next. It gives me that option. Do I want to jump to where that other Kindle's at? And I say okay. So it gives me the ability to manage multiple Kindles if there's a need for that. I truly don't see too much of a need for that unless you're somebody like me who happens to have more than one, because I can't imagine that your family would want to read the same place you are at. So that's a quick little look at the Whisper Sync. Now let's take another look. Another new feature in the new Kindle. So let me go to the same book, I guess. Now the font sizes are the same. You know, they've got the 6 different fonts. I push the font button. Now that we see below that is also a text-to-speech. So if I was to select that, and if I say turn on, we should hear the book start to be read by a male or female voice. We have an option of 2 voices. And it takes a second to load.
Crate came hurtling off the upper reaches of the barrier, nearly striking him in the head. The pale face of an emaciated man burst through the opening, his eyes glowing red under the flickering candlelight. He quickly squeezed himself through the opening, and then tumbled down the face of the barrier.
So that's the female voice, as you could hear. And let me just jump in. I wonder if I can. Oh, I can change the. I want to change the male voice there.
As the man staggered to his feet, Fitzjames recognized him as one of the stokers for the ship's coal-fired steam engine. The stoker was shirtless despite the freezing temperature.
So let's switch to male. Now you can
Crate
also
came hurtling off the upper reaches of the barrier, nearly striking him in the head. The pale face of an emaciated man burst through the opening, his eyes glowing red under the flickering candlelight.
Now this
He
is
quickly
faster.
squeezed himself through the opening, and then tumbled down the face of the barrier. As the man staggered
we
to
go
his
slower.
feet, Fitzjames recognized him as one of the stokers for the ship's coal-fired steam engine. The stoker was shirtless.
Personally, I prefer the female voice. It sounds more realistic to me. So let's go to slower female and see what that sounds like for a second.
Crate came hurtling off the upper reaches of the barrier, nearly striking him in the head.
Now, what will happen with that is as the book is read, the pages will actually turn and it'll go through there. You know, these voices aren't anything like you'd get with an Audible audiobook, but they could be useful if you're in the heat of the moment of in a great book and you need to finish it and you happen to jump in your car and you want to hear the end of it. So I don't think it's going to take anything away from the Audible books, but it is a nice option if something you really need to finish and you can't do it because you need the drive or something like that. Now going back to the Kindle 2, since I have a previous Kindle, something showed up in my home screen there. It says upgrading to the Kindle 2. If I was to select that, it tells me, they noticed that I had a Kindle 1, we thank you, blah, blah. So what you can do is you can say, you can go down here to 2 options and do both of them actually. The first one is transfer your subscriptions or Kindle email address. If you select that hyperlink, it opens up in the web browser. It gives you your magazine subscriptions that you can then transfer to your new Kindle, and also transfer the same email address you were using to send documents to. I did that, and what I also found out was that the subscriptions, the way that works is that the next issue of the magazine or newspaper will be delivered to the new Kindle. Any existing ones you haven't read, you have to read back on your original Kindle. It also says here, if you want to download previously purchased books, go to the archives items from your home screen and you can download them for free. So back on the home screen, I've already downloaded some of those books that I have, but if I go to the next page here, you'll see there's a place for archived items. If I select that, there's some of the books that I have as well. So if I select something like the last lecture and I select it, it will say opening. What this is actually doing, it is now downloading it from the Amazon server to this Kindle, and when that's done, it'll now appear on my home screen and not in the archived items anymore. So then my archived items will eventually change to 3, and the book will appear in my home screen, so you never lose any of your content, excuse me. So that's a quick look at the Kindle 2. I'm still going to look into this issue of not having as bold of fonts. Looking at the menu, if you jump through there, there are some settings. Of course, there's still the experimental items, which is the basic web, play MP3, and then the text-to-speech, which is the new one I showed. And also in settings, I couldn't find anything in there about doing anything with the fonts on the home page. But it does have more grayscales, and seems to be a pretty nice device. I am going to definitely spend some time playing with this new Kindle before I completely decide to get rid of my old Kindle or what I need to do with it. But that's a look at the Kindle 2 from Amazon.